And welcome to the final in our 4 conversations series with the musicians who are going to be at Jazz Under the Stars. Hard to believe we're at the end of August, and now it's time for us to wrap the series up, but we have saved the best for last. I say that every time. I've said every band, Forrest, you should know, every band that we've had, I've said is my favorite. So this is my favorite band of the series. Right. It's Uniphonics. And Forrest Heusinkveld from the band is the drummer, and one of the vocalists is with us here today. Forrest, first off, welcome.
Thank you.
Nice to see you. Well, let's start at the beginning, because here we are at Kirkwood Community College, and that was where, at one time or another, pretty much every member of this band was a part of the music program. And I, of course, remember when you were here studying, and you were in some combos, as well as the Kirkwood Jazz Ensemble, and that's pretty much true for everybody in the band, right?
Yeah, everybody in the band at one time or another.
Yeah, you weren't all here together.
Right, exactly. And Craig Heidgerken, the guitarist, Ben Pierce, the saxophonist, and myself actually met at Kirkwood about 10 years ago. We were playing in jazz combos and jazz ensemble, and Nassar Cooper, one of the singers in the band, he was here maybe 5 years before, and he was in the vocal jazz program. And then the other 2 main guys in the band, they took classes at Kirkwood, but they weren't in the music program. But so we're all sort of alumni, and 4 out of the 7, 6 or 7, we have a new member too, were in the music programs.
And then you eventually kind of all relocated to the Iowa City area, and I imagine you probably played with some of those guys pretty steadily all along, and then added the others as they went. What was, when the Uniphonics formed, it is definitely a unique sound that encompasses jazz, rock, rap, hip-hop, soul. I mean, it's just, it's just kind of a musical gumbo. Tell me how that came about.
Well, I graduated from Kirkwood in 2006, and then I transferred to Iowa. Got into the percussion program and jazz studies program at the University of Iowa, and then Ben and Craig both moved to Iowa City as well, and so we were playing in groups and trying to find the right bass player, and all along I've wanted to do something more hip-hop, soul oriented, and those guys did as well. So we went to the jam session at the Iowa City Yacht Club in 2007 in the spring, and we saw an MC there named Derek Thorne. His stage name is MC Animosity, and a bass player there, Ryan Castile, and we were kind of like struck by the 2 of them, and so we got a rehearsal together, and things worked out pretty well at the rehearsal, and we realized that we had something new that wasn't happening anywhere in Iowa. Hip-hop is kind of the last thing you would expect to find in Iowa. So we kind of went with it, and we got into a Battle of the Bands in May 2007, and we won the Battle of the Bands. That was our first show. And then our second show was at a festival that we got into because of the battle, and it just kind of snowballed from there a little bit.
So definitely I would call Uniphonics a hip-hop band, but there is also a lot of jazz, which is why you're at Jazz Under the Stars.
Yep.
A lot of jazz in what you do. Was that on purpose? From the get-go? Were there particular members who you said, well, who made sure that was a part of it, or was that an agreement that everybody had from the start?
Well, really, the jazz side is a part of all of us because of our training, and because we were in the jazz program at Kirkwood. And so once you get into that, it's hard to shake it, and you don't really want to shake it. And part of the problem that we had with a lot of the music, which includes rapping, is that the background music isn't really sophisticated, and we wanted to make something that was more funky and more intricate, and something that a person can't just do on a laptop. They need a live instrument, multiple instruments interacting with each other. And the other side of it too is that, in my opinion, freestyling and rapping is sort of an extension of jazz because
of the
improvisation, yep. And at a fundamental level, when you're improvising and performing any musical instrument, it's all about self-expression. And to me, there's nothing more pure, there's no better way to express yourself than through words. And if you can do that in a way that sounds cool, and you don't have to worry necessarily as much about the pitches as you would if you're a singer, then that's kind of like the ultimate form of self-expression to me.
Talking with Forrest Heusinkveld from Uniphonics prior to their concert, which is coming up Thursday, August 28th for Jazz Under the Stars in a new location. It'll be at McGrath Amphitheater, downtown Cedar Rapids. We'll talk about that more in just a little bit. Talking about kind of the musical foundations of the band. As I totally agree, and as an old guy, you know, one of the things that I like about the band is the fact that, you know, that the textures of the musical aspects of it are, you know, are jazz based and are a lot more interesting than just, you know, talking, you know, rapping over a track or sampling somebody else's songs or things like that. The music that goes along underneath what you're doing is, you know, good jazz all by itself. So you're an Iowa boy. You grew up in Amana.
Yeah.
How do you get to be a rapper?
Well, I was never in choir or anything. I should have been in choir. I was in band growing up and I played some piano and stuff, but I never really learned how to sing, but I always wanted to express myself. And so before I had like a drum set or anything, I would kind of rap a little bit because it was kind of like a release. And I didn't know how to sing, so I knew I wasn't going to try to like hit any pitches and sing along to anything. But at the time, in the 90s, rap was a big thing.
Yeah, that was a perfect time to play around with that.
Yeah, and as a drummer, I was really interested in the beats and the vocals, and I could do both of them without any singing training, formal training. So I could do the vocal part, and then the beats were kind of came natural to me. So it was just kind of a good fit.
So that was kind of the foundation of Uniphonics, but I know you've added some singers.
Yeah.
And has that expanded your repertoire a little bit? Are you doing some different things now?
Absolutely. Our first two albums, almost all of the vocals were just more rap-oriented vocals. We had a little bit of simple singing and stuff, but now with the addition of Nassar Cooper and Beth Ann Gavin, both of whom are outstanding soul singers and have an extensive background in jazz and vocal jazz music as well. Adding them takes our sound to a whole nother level, because now instead of having the entire song be like a verse where I'm rapping, a chorus where Derek's rapping, then a verse where Derek's rapping, instead of just having rapping the whole time, we can break it up. Now we have like a male voice singing, we have a female voice singing, we have two different MCs that sound different, the textures of the voices are different, and so we have a lot more appeal, and it's a lot more interesting to listen to.
I don't think I know Beth Ann, but I remember Nassar from his days with Bohemian Soul Tribe and other bands as well. So he's been in the soul and funk scene up and down the corridor in quite some time. Yeah. All original music? Do you do any covers?
We do covers because sometimes we have a 4-hour set and we don't.
That's a lot of original music.
Yeah. Well, and we have that much original music, but we don't want people to listen to 4 hours of music. If it's the first time that they've ever heard us, we don't want them to listen to 4 hours of music and not hear anything that they recognize or can sing along with. So we do some covers.
And then before we talk specifically about the concert next week, and make sure everybody, of course, is aware of the change in location and everything, you have kind of a sideline that has appeared. It was revealed recently, and I know you can't talk a lot about this, but in your day job is you're manager of the yacht club, and they are thinking about doing a comedy reality series down there, and you're involved in that. You're kind of one of the stars of the show if it gets made.
Right. Well, during my day job is I teach at West Music, and then at night I either have a gig or I go down to the yacht club or Gabe's and bartend, and I'm a manager at both places. So for 4 years we've been doing comedy every Monday night at the yacht club, and Currently, there are usually approximately 20 comedians, and they each get about 5 minutes, and you get people on the road from LA, Vegas, New York that just don't have a gig, so they come down and perform stand-up for 5 minutes, and some fairly big name people that have been on Comedy Central and so forth. And so about 6 months ago, I was put in contact with a Los Angeles, Hollywood-based company that does reality shows and other TV shows, and they have shows on major networks. And I started sending them stories of things that were happening in the club scene at the yacht club specifically. And some pretty bizarre, hilarious, sad, all over the board kinds of stories. And they said, well, we might have a reality show. This might be a good thing to do a reality show on. Send us some videos. And so I started taking some cell phone videos of some of the comedians, and when something crazy would happen, I'd bust out my cell phone, and I started sending it to them. And so there was a lot of talk back and forth, and they came in June and filmed for 2 days for a sizzle reel, which is a 5-minute video that then they will pitch to the networks. And so most of the editing is done now, and I just talked to the producer of the show a couple days ago on the phone, and it was really good news that I got, but I can't really talk a whole lot about it.
Yeah, we understand.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on just getting this far. I mean, you know, so many things get shot down in the pitch stage. So even getting to the point where you may be able to make a pilot is a huge thing. So
yeah, and if not, I mean, it was probably the most fun I've ever had in my life. And they're good guys. The people that flew out to film this thing, they're good people, and they're fun to hang out with. And in the music world, it's all about connections. And so having some friends out in Hollywood is never a bad thing for trying to get somewhere in the music/entertainment world. So if nothing comes of it, I'm fine with that too.
But it was still, yeah, it's been fun, and it could be more fun.
Right, exactly.
Well, good luck with that. We'll be anxious to hear when details do start to drop about that, what happens.
And regardless of what happens with it, the video that was taken will be released, and it's pretty hilarious. But that won't happen for a little while after a couple more things have developed. But they will be seen eventually. So.
Well, it's not going to be stand-up comedy coming up at the at Jazz Under the Stars. It's going to be the regular Uniphonics show, which is we've talked about, incorporates jazz, hip hop, soul, and a lot of different styles. I'm just really looking forward to bringing that to everybody. This will be the first jazz concert held at the McGrath Amphitheater.
Yeah,
so that's
awesome.
That's our honor to bring Jazz Under the Stars to the McGrath Amphitheater for the very first time. There are a few extra restrictions that VenueWorks, the facility manager, has that are going to be a little bit unusual for those of us who've come to Jazz Under the Stars for these many years. So please go to kcck.org and take a look at that and make sure that, you know, like for instance, they don't want you to bring a hard-sided cooler in and some things like that. Generally speaking, you can bring your picnic and everything, but they do have a few restrictions. But we'll have our regular food vendors there, and it's going to be great sound, it's a great stage, excellent line of sight to watch the band, and just really looking forward to you guys busting out the very first jazz concert at the McGrath Amphitheater.
Yeah, likewise. Me too. It's an honor to be playing.
It's great to have you guys as a part of our series, and really looking forward to it. So we'll see you on Thursday at the amphitheater.
Sounds good. And one other thing I was going to mention too, we're about 95% done with our new album, and we're launching a Kickstarter campaign, which is it'll be active in about a week.
And you'll be able to talk a little bit more about that maybe from the stage.
Yeah, we'll talk about it a little bit on the stage.
Yeah, so you can back the Uniphonics Kickstarter too.
Exactly,
Excellent.
exactly.
Well, congratulations on that too.
Thank you.
Forrest Heusinkveld from Uniphonics, closing out Jazz Under the Stars in our chance to move to hold the very first jazz concert at the McGrath Amphitheater in downtown Cedar Rapids. Again, kcck.org if you would like more information on that show, parking, and things like that as well. Forrest, thanks again for coming in today.
Thanks for having me.